Hi there. Welcome to the SparrowCast series, where we help you to connect the dots. Take home the best ideas from the industry experts and thought leaders right here on SparrowCast by Survey Sparrow. Today, we have here with us Rajat Chawla. He is Asia's first certified customer experience mentor and CEO at Koyopo to speak about most valuable contributor for delivering great customer experience. Rajat is a 10 times impact coach, author of customer experience design book, and an international speaker. Welcome to the show, Rajat. Super excited to have you here.
Thank you, Evita. Same here. Very excited to be with you today.
Thank you. Rajat, I think let's straight get into our topic for today. So, most valuable contributor for delivering great customer experience, right?
Yeah, see, what I've seen, with working in this customer experience space, which has been evolving in the last few years, that differentiation is on the basis of really creating wow experiences for the customer. And a lot of companies that I work with have good ideas about how to do it. They understand the mechanics. But from my point of view, there is one thing which differentiates great companies from rest of the companies who are trying to do it. Of late, there's a term which people are talking about is customer obsession. If you look at, for example, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, he talks a lot about customer obsession. In fact, that's a common element. I've seen his work from last 20 years. He's been talking about that. And I have a client which is a large MNC, upwards of 40 billion USD, and one of their values is customer obsession. And I want to today share how to achieve and make that customer obsession possible, which creates wow customer experiences. And I'll talk about that in a moment.
Great, sure.
Yeah, so what I've seen is, for example, this client of mine really was talking to me, and they did a very interesting assessment to find out how customer obsessed their engineers are, because that was the one of the focus function for them, to improve the customer experience through their engineering support services. What they surprisingly found out was that while they wanted customer obsession as one of their top values, 80% of the engineers were not having high enough customer obsession. That surprised them. And I think that corroborates with the global data, with a lot of surveys that get done, where they found out that 80% of the people are not fully engaged. So customer obsession is kind of closely linked to also the engagement. Now, let me release the suspense and tell you what is that secret thing that can lead to a lot of outcomes, including improved customer obsession, is the word passion. Passion differentiates companies who are built for delivering a mediocre customer experience against those who are there at the top delivering wow customer experience. And also, based on a lot of work that I've done with companies, both in the employee and customer experience space, I have devised some very simple set of questions that I'm going to share in a moment, which is really loved by my clients. In fact, I do talk about that in the work that I do with my clients, and they, time and again, I get requests, can you share that with us in a template. Now I've created a template, and I can send it to you if you would like to share it in this webinar, show it on the screen for the audience who are there. But I believe it can benefit the individual passionate customer experience professional, as well as companies who are focused on building a very customer centric team, right? So would you be interested to know a little bit more about these powerful questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Vera. Thank you. So here it is. What I believe, again, is a lot of companies really want to overhaul, change, and completely transform their culture, which is actually extremely difficult to make it happen. So in my experience, the most powerful space to do this, induct this customer centricity, is right at the time of hiring, when we are hiring people. Do you agree?
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah, so that when you hire right, you kind of have, uh, I would believe to say that 80% of the battle of having customer centric people. And I personally have built a customer centric global practice many years back in a very large 5 billion IT services company. And it was really recognized, and I received the CEO honor for building this customer centric practice. But more than that, people who were hired using these simple set of questions are actually doing extremely well, right?
Yeah,
So would you still be interested to know more about these powerful questions?
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So here are some of them. I'll just quickly walk you through them.
Sure.
So number one question is, what kind of activities are you naturally drawn towards? So for example, I actually get drawn towards books, and I actually get drawn towards activities which require deep thinking and solution, creating solutions, right? So when you ask this question to somebody, you will get to know what is it that they are naturally drawn towards, right? When I'm asking this question, I also invite all the listeners to actually think for themselves and maybe pull out a notepad and a pen and start to capture your responses, because what recently happened is when I was running through these questions to a set of people, and there was a manager and his team member who have been working for like more than 5 years together. When they did this question, they were in for a pleasant surprise. So the manager found out that his team member was extremely capable and get charged up when he is challenged. So right then and there in the room, they decided that he's going to provide more challenge to this team member, right? So number two question is, what energizes you, right? What is it that gives you a lot of energy after that or during that kind of an activity? So for example, I love to spend time with nature, right? And something again to do with planning, thinking. Number four question, these may sound very similar, but they have a nuance and a very fine difference. The number third question is, what kind of activities do you tend to pick up very quickly? So that shows that the person is very quick in learning in that space. And would you be interested to hire someone who is extremely fast in certain area, and maybe you would be able to deploy that speed of work in specifically for getting fast outcomes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And so the next question is really, what kind of activities, when you get engaged and you automatically know the next steps? So for example, Evita, if you may be extremely prompt in understanding how to kind of connect with different kind of people while creating maybe different kind of interviews or surveys, right? So that could be your strength.
Right.
Likewise, everybody are very, they kind of know naturally, automatically know the next steps. So how are you doing? I mean, you finding these questions interesting, Evita?
Absolutely. I think it's really good because I can implement them here too.
Yeah, great to know. I think likewise, thank you for saying that. And that's what I want to tell all the audience, that these are very simple and you can apply them. But you know what? When I came back from my consulting work with the client, and I probably forgot to share these questions, is two people specifically send me a note that can you please share, and I send it with the entire team, and they just love these set of questions. So keep it handy. It saves a lot of effort. Let me move on to the next question as to what kind of activities gives you a kick. Really, you again, after that or during that, you kind of just get excited and just want to do it again. Right? So again, for me, it's again to do with learning something new. Time and again, I kind of find myself learning some new stuff and implementing that new stuff in my business. Next question is really very, very powerful. And actually in that, it requires a little bit of listening. So for example, Avita, if I ask you, what would be the most fulfilling success story for you? And then I keep my self quiet and listen for you. And I think what I have seen asking these questions and keeping quiet after that is a lot of insights come from the people when they share their success stories. And if you're listening close and seriously, you get to know a lot about the person. And I have probably coached a lot of leaders, and I asked them this one question: when was the last time somebody asked you this question? And look for your unique strengths. 90 to 95% of the people says, rarely or maybe once in a while somebody asks, but nobody spend enough time listening. So that's a differentiator. When you're hiring, that's the place where you listen by just asking this question. And last but not the least is also a very powerful question, which actually gives, I call it as an algorithm of success. Algorithm of success is so powerful. We are in the world of information age and AI and machine learning, but this is about the algorithm of accomplishments. So if somebody again asks me this question, then I would begin telling, these are some of my accomplishments, which tells that couple of things. I'm very driven in that area, and I love to contribute. I don't need supervision. I'm owning that space, right? So, and how empowering do you think would that be if we are able to find people's, it's kind of a golden side of them where they are empowering themselves to deliver great results. How great that would be for a company.
Absolutely great. It's good. It's really good.
Yeah. So I think these are some of the questions which sound simple, but really I found transformational outcomes from that. So I think two things I would like to add with these 7 powerful questions is that really one is, it is important to be open to discover, take some time out, use them at the time of hiring. Okay, so these are the 2 things. And also then a very key thing which kind of embodies this whole thing to make it happen again and again is a supporting environment. Our environment a culture that encourages this. It shouldn't be embedded just for one conversation, but it should become a part of the culture. And then you achieve, then you discover that passion, and from that passion you create customer obsession. So I think probably I'll stop here. If there's anything else that you want me to talk about.
I think that was really good. Very, very nice, very informative. Thank you so much, Rajat. I think it was mighty crisp, it was insightful, it was elaborate, it was amazing. I'm sure our audience also felt likewise. What I'll do right now is I'll just do a sum up from our session with Rajat here today. I think he just majorly elaborated on the 3 key points. 1, help people discover passion here. 2, start discovering passion early on from the hiring process. And 3, the company should create an environment to foster passion for customer experience. Rajat, a final question for our guests here. Did you have an opportunity to participate in any of the Sparrow surveys?
Yeah, I experienced one recently, and I think let me confess that I'm not a great fan of surveys, but it pleasantly surprised me. It was a uniquely different survey, very pleasant, very crisp, and short. I think these are the things I look for within the survey. I actually don't look for it, but this kind of a survey, I think I would be pretty open to. So great work on creating this kind of experience. I just loved it.
Thank you, Rajat. Thank you so much for the kind words and your time and all of your insights. It was great speaking to you, and we shall see you again in the next SparrowCast. Fly along with us.
Thank you for having me, Avita. Pleasure.